Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Ampistrano, episode 2, The Cart Before the Horse. We are so excited to be back and have this adventure. But before we dive into the episode, we have a couple quick announcements, and let's start with our favorite monk and fairy, April.
Hello, that's me. I'm April. Oh, have you ever wondered where you could get very cool things to make your games more fun? Like battle maps
Yes,
and accessories
April.
and dice?
Yes, April, I have.
Well, then you're in luck because if you look in our chat, there's a special code because we're affiliates for 1985 Games, the makers of excellent battle maps and cool bags of mystery dice. So enter AmpistranoDND to get a portion of your purchase. Make sure to use the referral link in our chat. It's right. Wait, which direction is our chat? Whatever the correct direction is, follow that finger.
Amazing.
Back to you, Jordan.
Thank you, April.
I love it here.
I just love when we gave these first initial announcements and was like, what is this? I'm like, oh, it's one of my favorite parts of the stream is announcements.
Everyone
Next up,
awkwardly.
awkward, but it's so good. Next up, we're gonna move over to Fairbear.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did say fuck when I got called on, like I'm in school. Sorry.
All good.
Hi, I'm Fair. In addition to liking dope accessories for your tabletop needs, do you like coffee or tea? Do you like waking up at the ass crack of dawn and realizing that this ain't it and you're gonna need something to get you through the day? If that's you, great news. We're affiliates with Found Familiar and Friday Afternoon Tea, purveyors of delicious brews and leaves. I really need a script. This is not good.
Beans and leaves.
Beans and leaves. Get your.
We're going to introduce everybody to a new version of Pokemon. And this version is called Pokemon Bean Juice or Pokemon Leaf Water.
Yes,
Oh
exactly.
God.
Thank you. Yes. And, obviously you could trade between both games, so you have to get both because they both have different things. Like, for example, Bean Juice, delicious coffees. I don't drink coffee, but I know a lot of people like Found Familiar coffee. I've heard great things. I've heard great things about, I think they have like a Mexican chocolate one or something like that.
Isn't that the Chupacabra one, Finn?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No.
Confirm is delicious.
It's delicious. Yeah. And then Friday Afternoon Teas has fantastic fandom blends of different teas that will invigorate your senses. So if you're interested in either of these, you can check out both of their shops and get 10% off with the code D&D Jordan Lee. All caps, scream it. Get yourself some tea.
Coffee.
Cough tea. Cough tea.
Coffee.
I would like to advocate for the chat commands to be changed to bean and leaves.
I second that motion.
For those commands.
Third.
Can I get a mod to change that for me, please? Thank you.
We will wait.
Fairbear. And next up is Babs.
Oh, hey everyone, it's me. Your friendly neighborhood Babs the Bat, here to tell you that we have one of those nifty Idle Champions codes. It's right down over there at the bottom of the screen, right next to the Idle Champions logo. And if you put that code into the super amazing Idle Champions game that you don't always have to pay attention to get further in the game. That's why it's called Idle Champions. Because they do all the work while you don't have to. But anyways, put that code in and you can get an Electrum chest, which has a whole bunch of nifty swag and goodies and all of that to help your heroes slay all the monsters. And speaking of amazing heroes, we have good news. Nakarada is actually live. You don't have to wait another month for it. That was a typo, and it's okay. But surprise, Nakarada is live, and you can get them and Saja's a familiar, right?
Mhm.
Yes, and their familiar, Saja, the super adorable duo from Black Dice Society.
Mhm,
They're live
mhm.
over on Idle Champions right now. Go get them.
Amazing. Thank you, Babs. And Finn.
Friends, I love that we play games at the table together. And there's nothing we like better than our accessories. Our dice, and the vaults, and the prisons that we put them in. However, friends, if you are not getting your accessories from a quality vendor, a quality artisans, like to Talent and Claw, well, you are either closing your eyes to a situation you do not wish to acknowledge, or you are unaware of the caliber of accessories that are presented to you by Talent and Claw. And then, friends, you got Talent and Claw at your table. They got the DM screens for your players' dreams, so you're looking cool. You're going to have Talent and Claw at your table. You got to remember the dice vaults, trays, and stuff that make you look cool. You surely got to get Talent and Claw. Now, players of TTRPGs, heed my warnings. Do not go out and search the first accessory you find on the internet. Go straight to Talent and Claw and use the code DND Jordan Lee, all caps, just scream it straight into the input box for your code to get 10% off your purchase. Heed my warning before it's too late.
I think I'm at
Do
church
not let
right
your
now.
be boring. Let it be amazing.
Let me just go ahead and search for that today because listen.
You friends, you can play whichever way you want to play, but if you're going to get accessories, get quality. And that T stands for talent. And that C is for claw. I did not use C in any of these words, but it just came out my face. So talent and claw, go get it.
Thank you, Finn.
For 10% off.
I love you. 10% off.
I love you.
10.
I was getting some Music Man vibes from that.
It's
If
backwards.
this doesn't
It's-
become a
it's
weird
backwards on the
talent and
screen.
claw thing
That is
somewhere,
200%
it's
what I was listening to on my shuffle earlier today. And I was like, oop, ad read.
Okay,
There you
that's
go.
going to become the talent and claw things, but also we get residuals for this because
Yep.
this is we did this.
But the quality here.
Amazing. Thank
Losing
you, Finn.
sponsorships left, right, and center. But
And those are just some of the many ways that you can help support the show and the cast, because whatever revenue comes in from that, we actually get a cut of it, and that will go back towards the show. Couple quick notes. We have a YouTube channel. With our very first episode has been uploaded to AmpistranoDND on YouTube. So check out our little teaser trailer that was made by ChaoticTiefling Productions, as well as the first episode. So that is going to be the home for all of our episodes and other things that are in the works. Those will be uploaded on Thursdays at 10 a.m. We are also working on a podcast version as well. That'll be available on, I believe it's one day of the week. I can't read my notes right now. It's fine. And we also have a Patreon that will be live on Tuesday, which gives you the opportunity for some extra things such as wallpapers, chances for information about some merch items that we are working on, all of that. Again, I am paying my cast, so this goes towards helping to keep my players paid and happy, even more so. So go and support and all the things. And yeah, a couple other quick notes. If you enter in !Simon or !Sephi, we are still raising awareness to two amazing individuals that are transitioning and trying to take this next step. So if you can either signal boost or help out in any way, shape, or form, it's very much appreciated. I also want to make another note. Our very own Robo Goblin, aka TTRP GIFs, is raising money for NNAF abortion funds on twitch.tv/TTRP GIFs all weekend long, with a goal of $1,500. The last time I checked, they're almost halfway to that goal. So please go and support, help them out in any way possible as well. And it's gonna be a great time.
And thanks
yeah.
to Demoke for that raid.
Demo, thank you so much. Welcome on in, Raiders. We're just about to get started, so
Yeah.
amazing timing. But we'll be right back after this.
Now.
And welcome back.
But
Hey, it's just a promo stinger.
I know,
So-
we do have some awesome things being worked on for next week. We'll have an opening as well as the character stats, which are being done by Syrup, which are amazing. So it's just a quick little teaser, but
Yeah.
it's so good.
No one was prepared for that being so quick.
Nope, but I was here for it.
We
All right.
honestly tried to get into a conversation, and then Babs was like, "Stop talking."
and we're coming back now.
All right. And now,
Oh.
without further ado, let's go into the Vale of Ampistrano. On the continent of Ampistrano, a glimmer of fate sparked as the threads of several destinies intertwined within the river town of Illipin. As several of you wandered amongst the town, busier than usual, with the melodies of a harvest festival in 2 days' time. Discordance occurred as a runaway cart began rushing the busy streets. Civilians and Crownsguard were helpless as this rogue cart, imbued with a large onyx gem, attacked. The new allies worked together knowingly, and in some cases, unknowingly, and were able to destroy the gem. With one final blast, the cart imploded, leaving a small crater where it once stood, and many questions as a gem dragonborn made himself known. Around you, people are quickly fleeing the area as several Crownsguard rush to secure it. The bigger of the two Minotaurs, newly freed from his icy prison, sneers over in your direction, as Mary, the tiefling, has stepped out of her shop, the tea leaves, with a worried expression on her face. You see that around her, there are several of her flower assistants carrying trays of tea to many of the merchants that, for the most part, trying to stay out of the way, as well as a very disheveled dwarf that had been carrying home his parcels from a long day of shopping. And it's at this point that our story picks up, as the group has now all come face to face with this dragonborn that none of you have met before.
Quick question before
Sure.
we get into play. How much longer would the detect magic that I cast at the tail end of last session still be going on? Because I think it lasts for an hour, I believe, if I keep concentrating on it.
You have about 45 minutes. Like, it was not long that you cast it, and then the cart was destroyed. So it
Okay,
was
no, I have up to
not
10
long.
minutes.
Oh,
So
you have up to 10 minutes. Okay.
I think we only got through a round and a half after
Correct.
that.
Yep. So you have a ton of time. You have a bit of time if you wanted to skedaddle. You certainly could.
All right, it's like we'll start with saying he's still concentrating on it, and so
Sure.
any of you who do notice Cal over there, you'll see him still gathering his things, standing up and like scanning for all of the magic and like kind of tracing it with his eyes, what he's seeing. He saw that line dissipate, correct?
Mm-hmm.
The line that was leading to the gym inside the cart dissipate, and Cal is very he's very focused on just scanning to see anything else that's pinging as magical that could be related to this at the moment.
Okay. The pinging that you're getting is from that crater in the middle of the road. You can see it's kind of dying in the light as the magic essence is leaving it, but there are several shards of the remainder of that gem, of that onyx.
And just because it would be pertinent to Cal's focus,
Sure.
he would be focusing on specifically any school of magic, or the aura of what type of magic it's giving off,
Okay.
if it's distinguishable.
I would say roll a Arcana check for this one. Just because
Certainly.
Cal is specifically focusing on one specific school, it may not be super
Right.
important about the other ones.
Sure. All right, make sure I have. Ooh, that was a good one. In Arcana.
Mhm.
So yeah, he rolled a 22 on that.
Ooh, okay. Okay. As for the specific school, just because I might need your help then, because it's been a moment and I'm blanking on the word.
Certainly.
When you are imbuing something enchantment, is it just a school of enchantment then?
If you are bringing something to life, it's either enchantment or conjuration, depending on if
It'd
you
be
are...
conjuration then.
Okay, then good.
Yep.
Right.
Thank you. I was trying to. I know it was like not exactly enchantment, but
Yeah.
adjacent. So
Yes.
conjuration.
Conjuration would probably be the school. So he's picking up more of a conjuration aura off of these things.
Correct.
Okay, certainly.
And there's you can see in the you can see that hue of magic pulling outside of the town, and then kind of embers of as the magic's leaving the gems. There's about 3 or 4 small shards left in that kind of crater that's left.
Okay, well then Cal is, gathering up his books, and he is focused on those things, and probably has not started to address the group yet.
Okay. The rest of you are seeing this gem dragonborn kind of focusing and then kind of picking towards the crater in the middle of town.
Is this
I
yours?
honestly think Theodora's reaching to pick up the fucking shards.
I am going to give our Minotaur friend a little zap and say, okay, now off with you.
As the bigger Minotaur that had been roughing up Blackstone last session kind of gets slammed with a little bit of lightning that's kind of surging in his direction. And he quickly takes off down a side street.
Yeah, I think Aura, because she's gonna pop back like right on the other side of the cart,
Sure.
sees this dragonborn running towards it and now picking through it. Did you do this? Is this yours?
Oh, sorry, no, I actually thought it was your cart. I was about to ask you what went awry with it.
It was just attacking people?
Right, and that's unfortunate, of course, but it was your cart then?
Turn to the Minotaurs. Is this yours?
I believe the Minotaur isn't here to answer. I'm sorry about that.
No, they deserved it.
Yeah, I don't know if it was their cart. They didn't seem they seem like me that don't understand magic.
Oh, right. Well, it appears that someone gave life to something that didn't originally have any of its own. And it would appear, I can't quite tell if it's just the trail of magic, well, carrying on behind in the wake of this cart, or if someone is still powering it around that way, but it does seem to be coming from just outside the walls of the town. Do you mind if I keep a couple of these? And he's like holding up a couple of the shards of the stone.
Theodora also holds a hand of shards. Well, I mean, I was gonna keep some, so.
No. I don't need to take what's not mine, but it seems...
No. I was just
Well,
saying,
no,
I was gonna take some, so it would be hypocritical of me to say you can't have any.
I believe a person of your particular talents and things might be able to examine these and find or learn other useful things.
Right, that's exactly what I was going for. And he starts to pocket them, and he gives like a double take at the robot or the Warforged. What is the nomenclature in Ampistrano for? Because I know Warforged is like
Automaton.
automaton. There we go.
Call them robot
Right.
in the street like that.
Right.
Oh,
Well,
yeah,
I just want to make
dang.
sure the nomenclature here. All right, so he
we
gives
got
a
the-
double
Ayo,
count.
robot. Like
We got to beat Cal's. We got to beat Cal's ass. I'm sorry.
Right. Okay, the comment robot was made out of game. Cal did not say it.
No, I know.
I love
He
you.
wanted to
I
make
love
sure
you.
what Cal needed
I love
to
you.
say.
Yeah, no.
But he'll take a double look, or kind of a double take at the automaton while he pockets this, and he goes, "Oh, an automaton's with you. I used to have a good friend that was an automaton. Friend, Sam. He spins. Does he see Sam still?
Is it okay to come out now?
Oh, Sam, yes, please. Sorry to leave you burdened there. I'll take back my belongings now, Sam. So sorry. Thank you.
You see kind of stepping out by the corner where you left him, Cal, this halfling with brown hair that's long and tied into a side braid. He seems to have just flipped a table over and just is kind of hiding on the side, and he's just kind of like, has your stuff, has his stuff, because he was at classes when all this happened.
Okay, because not gonna lie, that was pretty cool, but is it safe? Are you sure? Because I don't know.
Oh, Sam, the world is hardly ever safe, but what you have here is company. So it seems the rougher company has dispersed, and then the kinder company has come in. So sorry to leave you burdened with all the things. And so he starts grabbing his things back.
That's all good. Like,
Clever lad of you, Sam. Clever lad to toss the table like that. And then he straightens up, kind of fixes his tie, and I was just discussing the kerfuffle with. Oh my! No introductions have been made. So sorry. My name is ChaoticTiefling, he, him, and I would like to apologize if I stepped into anything that was a private matter, a private dispute, but hopefully you wouldn't mind me lending my help if this is, in fact, something that needs investigation. And he looks at, if I remember correctly, at the end of last session, someone was looking rough.
Oreo was.
Oreo was. And so...
Yes, I am at 5 of 24.
Right, so that's probably visibly apparent. And then he looks over and he, at Oreo, and to that end, he says, and for that, I did pick up something in my studies, not strictly part of my curriculum, but if you don't mind, perhaps I could help you with the scrapes you got there.
Oh, no, thank you.
All right, and so he reaches out, and when he reaches out his hand for Oreo to take, like a kind of a handshake deal, and as they clasp, the same kind of ribbons you saw come out of the spell book earlier, kind of start at his elbow and like wrap around his hand and wrap around Orea's, and when they're bound together, you see just like the energy kind of flow from Cal into Orea, and Orea's wounds are kind of like starting to close up, starting to reinvigorate Orea to the tune of... Correct dice would be great. Yes, please find the right number. All right, so you will receive 8 of your HP back.
Thank you.
And Cal was just muttering under his breath, like closing his eyes and muttering under his breath, words that you might not have picked up or caught on to, but in Draconic, he was using just words of, just repeating the words, bind it, heal it, mend it, and he was just repeating those over and over in Draconic.
At this point, Sareth will walk up, and after seeing Cal apply some healing to Orea, will look at Orea and everyone else and just say, "Is everyone else all right? How is everyone else feeling?"
Oh, I feel fine. I actually could fight another cart, I think.
Excellent.
Is that normal?
I think I was the only one
People to
dumb enough
fight
to get in front of
carts.
it.
Well, like Cal. Yes. Caldrix? Correct?
Oh, you could call me Cal. That'd
Cal?
be just fine. Caldrix Dara. Pleased to meet you.
I didn't want to assume a nickname without asking first. But, Aurea, if you're still feeling a little not at full, I can help with that.
Well, you know what might be helpful here is going back to the tea shop. They had a number of relaxing beverages and things, and they may also have medicinal herbs.
You're very right. I would appreciate your help, but right now seems to be a good time to sit for a few minutes, and I know it takes a lot of energy sometimes. I don't want you to use your energy if you could use it later.
Oh, it's not a problem.
And Aurea just kind of turns after Blacksmith says that and just starts walking to the tea shop again.
The tea shop is not far. It's a couple feet away. Aurea, you also notice your wings are still discolored.
Probably has a wing in her hand, just looking at it.
Yeah, just seems to have lost a little bit of luster for the moment.
As I walk, she's gonna use Druidcraft, and you're gonna all smell mountain air as she's fluttering her wings, trying to shake off the wrong color.
Yep, it's just very discolored, and as you're kind of flapping, instead of that normal full extension of the wings, it's almost like they're drooping slightly on the sides. For now. But you are all able to. Mary ushers you in. You see there's a few more people now in the shop than there were before, just taking a moment to reset. Yes, Cal.
The conversation made Cal drop his concentration on detect magic. He's figured he's done everything he could there, but as he's walking away, is
Sure.
there anything else he would have investigated from the site itself other than the shards of the gem he picked up?
Based off of your previous investigation that you were kind of doing when it comes to magic specifically, because that's what I figured Cal would be going for. Not really.
Okay, so nothing mundane in addition to that once the spell was dropped.
Nope.
Okay, just make sure.
Not at this time, at least. But you're all ushered in. Mary has your drinks sitting at the table that half of you left in the middle of this battle. Several of the flowers are moving about. There's a very strong scent of lavender and kind of those calming scents. You see several kind of crystals have been set out to kind of create a balance. The lighting has shifted slightly. And you're all able to kind of settle into your little nook.
Bash will scurry and kind of float around over to the counter and just kind of sit up and look at Mary and just like he's expecting another snack.
Oh.
And as soon as Sereth notices this, they go, Bash!
It's quite all right.
Yes, but he doesn't need to assume that every time we come in here, he gets a nom.
And you're not wrong, but luckily I do have a couple of treats set aside just for those looking for some extra treats. And she pulls out some nibblins for Sebastian Bash to munch on. Gives him a little scritch on the head and kind of sends him on his way as she kind of busies herself around the
He
shop.
kind of scurry floats back over here and then just kind of sits in front of Sereth and just looks up and then just Mary's gonna take care of me. Mary'll give me a nom even when you won't let me have one.
And you all are left to tea, and there were several charcuterie boards that were brought over. Cheese, all that is sitting there waiting for you. Still hot in some cases, and still like nothing's gone stale. It was only a few minutes that you stepped out of the shop for.
Straight back into the chairs, start snacking.
Theodora does that. I can't get comfortable in this chair until I like do my little routine dance and then sits down. Just clanking the whole time.
Amazing.
I like hold up a little saucer with just tea and cheese.
Oh.
Does Corbin come out to continue his eating of the cheese, or?
Actually, let me do a thing.
Okay.
I would like to ask you if there's a way for me to like kind of call to Corbin without drawing a lot of attention to myself. I'm trying to be sneaky.
Okay, why don't you roll an animal handling?
Animal handling?
Yep.
That is an 11.
Okay. What would you be most known for doing to try and get Corbin's attention when perhaps it's a little quieter?
Making imitations of mouse noises.
Okay. So you make that, and it takes a little bit. The rest of you hear occasionally some like noises, and then eventually Corbin comes on out pretty quietly, but yeah, he is out and about.
All right. I'll make this the DM's call.
Sure.
Cal is still seeing that he's trailing Sam behind him and feels slightly responsible. Like almost.
Sam has not sat down. Sam is
Okay.
like doing that awkward, like, I'm gonna stand and then wait kind of thing.
Cal is getting the feeling of like a dad out on an outing with a toddler at the moment. And
Sure.
so is noticing that he's still got Sam behind him. So his attention's kind of divided. So he's kind of about to address the issue of, does Sam stay or does Sam go? Don't want to impose on Sam's day. But also, does he notice the mouse if he's that distracted?
Well, here's the thing. I'm not making any effort to hide Corbin. I just didn't want to make a lot of noise calling him. So if you look at me, Corbin will just be sitting here at the end of like my right arm, like right like at the top of my head, just like eating cheese and sipping tea. Like he's just right there.
The only reason I'm asking is because not the highest passive perception on Cal, and also he's distracted by feeling responsible for Sam.
Mm-hmm.
So would he clock the mouse instantly, or would it be another minute? DM. I can go both ways.
I would say like you're distracted, and then as you're kind of like focusing in on, okay, let me see what this group is about and what everybody's kind of doing, then you would notice the mouse.
All right. Well, then as after Cal like looks up at Mary, and do you mind if we pull another couple of chairs up to this table then?
Sure, that's fine with me. And you do see that there's a couple of tables that are empty that are nearby that you can pull. Some of the wooden chairs. There are some kind of like more comfortable looking small couches that you could pull over to.
All right. Well, Sam, we've had a lot of excitement, so taking a sit might be good for your next class. You're not going to be too late to your next class, are you?
No, I do have to leave here probably in like the next 15 minutes, just because I have a night class with Professor Xavier. But that's about it. I just want to prep. I know it's like a couple hours from now, but I gotta prep and stuff.
Right. Well, maybe we sit and just figure out what's left and what's right here. And in the meantime, so sorry, I'm not sure if I got any of the names of. And he notices the mouse, and goes, "You know what? That's the strangest thing. The automaton who I used to know actually had a." And he looks down at the mouse and looks up at Blackstone. And the mask is unfamiliar to him, but a lot of things are going into place. And in Blackstone's head, he hears, "Would the name Rari mean anything to you?
It might.
Rory, what got you done?
It has
got
been
you done
some
here?
time, Cal.
And in his, like, everyone can see Cal's face change, but we would be north of the capital now, correct?
Mm-mm. So the capital is to the east. You're
Sure.
basically directly west.
Got it. All right. So then he'll say to Blackstone, "What got you pushed out here? Did you get kicked out of the capital?"
Well, no, I didn't get kicked out of the capital, but that might take a bit more explaining.
And then out loud, you'll all hear, "Damn the explanations! I'm just glad to see ya!" And he, like, Cal does the most awkward tone shift between nervous to happy, and just throws out his arms and moves towards Blackstone.
I think before this happens, we all see Cal's face change as talking in Blackstone's head. I lean over to Ori, like, I don't think he likes the leaf water.
Piece of cheese, like, I don't think so either. Are they gonna
I just gently put down the saucer and the cheese. And I go give Cal a hug because, hugs are good. How tall is Cal?
Cal is not he's not a very tall dragonborn. Dragonborns are known for being about just, up or down from 6 foot, but he's shorter for a dragonborn, about 5'10".
Okay, so you're about my size.
Shorter. I saw your face, April.
This is the first world where the fairy is taller than the dragonborn. And
Right.
that's why I laughed.
Sorry, what was that there, Sin?
I was saying I'm about 5'9" or so. My maker wanted me to be the height of an average human.
Fair enough. And so, as they hug, he pats Blackstone on the back, steps back, and then looks down at Corbin. "And you still have him, Corbin? How are you then?" And just kind of scritches up under Corbin's little snoot. And then, so sorry. So these are your friends then? So did you come here with friends?
Well, I think less I came here with them. Well, less that they came here with me and more that I came here with them. They were very nice to me earlier.
Oh, so you just met then?
Hmm.
So sorry. Blackstone and I, we knew each other at school, and haven't seen each other for how long? A year at least?
About that. Also, Cal is not a criminal.
That is.
Well, that's
No!
good. That's good to know.
Which context did you meet them then?
Did any of us think that he was?
I feel like I do now.
Well, it was less I was worried about he was a criminal, but we were talking about you knowing criminals earlier, and that there was
That
a
is
crime
true.
school. So, I could see where we would think you were a criminal.
Oh, yes. Blackstone tends to know a few people on either side of the law and the regulations, which is fine. Sometimes we end up on the other side completely accidentally. But however, no, law-abiding myself when I am aware of it. In any case.
Oh, then how did you two meet?
Oh, well, we studied together. Formerly at Scrittori in the capital is where I earned my previous title. Was going for a mage, but not keen on the mage study route. It turns out it just was not for me. It wasn't my path. So I left the school Scrittori and hadn't seen Blackstone since. How are you? Did you finish?
At some point, perhaps I should.
Oh, right. And that's fine. That's fine. It'll always be there. Buildings, they don't look, do they?
you see this, like, there's a long silence here, but like you get the impression that he's thinking about whether or not there are walking buildings.
Do buildings walk?
Well, there's stories of buildings that move, or
I know
things, or
there
of
are
cities. I
trees
mean,
that
it's
move.
yes, great histories.
I know that there are trees that walk.
If you put a house in a tree
Oh,
and the tree
yes.
walks, then you would have a walking house.
Oh, the magic to make a tree walk is much less intense than magic to make a building walk. You see, buildings aren't alive on their own in the first place, so you have to invent and give it some kind of motion all on its own with no life. Whereas a tree, it's much less effort involved.
This is true.
When I think about this, I suppose the building that we're referring to probably won't, but buildings might. I hope I run into one. That sounds like it would be interesting.
And frightening. So, you know, I'm of two minds on it. But so sorry. I haven't availed myself to know the names to address the rest of you.
Well, if my memory bank served correctly, this would be Sereth, Aurea, and Diodora, I think.
Uh-huh.
So there'd be Sarah, Aurea, and Diodora then. Oh, thank you, sir.
Aurea.
It's fair. Good to know you. How do you like to be called outside your name?
What?
How do you like to be called outside your name, or do you prefer that I say your name every time I'm talking to you, or is there a nickname, or?
Well, my name's kind of short, so no one really gave me it. It's Aurea. Most nicknames would be shorter versions of names.
Right. Okay.
I've never had a nickname either.
Well,
Aurea's gonna leave over to Sarah real quick. Should we have had nicknames prepared? Is that a thing?
Yeah.
And
I
looking at
my-
Diodora, like, is that a thing?
my brother used to call me Dia, but I know him.
Oh, well, that's true. So sorry, I didn't mean to presume any kind of familiarity in order to.
Oh, not at all.
Not entitled to know a nickname for you. I just wanted to make sure you're comfortable. So calling you all by your name, and I will just. You can let me know how you like to be spoken of. You see, like the he/him that I prefer.
Aurea, she,
Oh.
her.
Oh, of course.
Thank
Good
you.
to know.
For asking.
Same.
Oh, the she/her as well.
Yes.
I have always been a they.
Oh, then a they
I
you
think-
shall be.
But
If a they you are, a they you shall be.
but
and-
as far as nicknames go, Sebastian here does not mind that you know his nickname, which is Bash.
Oh, so sorry for not introducing myself earlier, Bash. Caldrix Derach, at your service. And he like bends down and reaches out his claw to Bash.
Bash will like scurry over and just like boop, right on the tip of a finger.
Ah, fair enough.
Has Cal
Love it.
reached out to shake everyone's hand?
He has not presumed to do so
Okay.
since we're all at a table now.
Okay, just wondering.
And so he turns and he goes, "Oh, and lest I forget, this DM, quick check. Help me remember that Sam identifies as male."
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This young man over here would be Sam. Sam's a student at the school, you know, and was just showing me
Hi.
about. I'm new into town.
Y'all are really cool. Yeah, I'm Sam. I'm a student of first year at the school and stuff. Hoping to do what y'all just were doing, because that was really cool.
Oh, you want to learn how to swing a maul?
A what?
I hold up my maul.
Oh, that thing.
That's all. Just
I-
bash.
Physical stuff is not necessarily my thing, so more of the magic stuff.
Oh, so when you said you wanted to learn what we all do, you weren't referring to me.
I mean, it would still be, in theory, very useful to understand how to use weapons like that. just in case my magic for whatever reason doesn't work or something like that. So, I mean, yeah, I would like to learn what you're doing too.
Well, I'm sure the school has a team for grappling and for fencing, do they not?
I hand him my maul.
It just means
How do you carry this thing? It's so heavy.
It's not that heavy.
That's
you seem like he's struggling with two
He's
hands.
just dragging,
Just
on the ground.
dragging it on the ground. Like, it just,
It's making an awful scraping noise.
Yeah.
he's got a score of 6 for strength.
Oh,
He's
no.
not really, really
His
strong.
arm,
He just
his
broke his
arm just
arm.
broke.
He is also a child, but
Cal
Okay,
reaches
I
out to
we should
help
stock
Sam.
you
He's
with
like,
something
it's all right, Sam. We're
smaller."
not all we don't
think
all
which-
come with the physical aptitudes. And as Cal picks up the maul, he's got a strength score. Cal's got a strength score of 9. So Cal can
Do
get
a
it.
strength check. Do a strength check. To
Okay,
see.
strength check. I was
Yeah,
about to.
let's do it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's an 11.
okay.
dislocated shoulder. Just kidding.
Yeah.
So, like,
Just
Cal
get
gets
it off the ground.
Yeah, Cal gets it off the ground. And is like, see, it might be a few more years till you can pick it up, like myself, and like just kind of walks it back to Deodora.
I see Cal struggling. I will get up. I'll just pick it up easily and put it back, like, in the thing on my
that's-
back.
That's
Sam,
useful.
Start with something small, and I'm gonna hand him some cheese and some meat. Here you go.
Hand him
Ah.
the cheese knife.
Oh, I see. You're making a joke. That's pretty funny. Haha.
Perhaps
I just thought she would
perhaps
like a snack.
your training might be better facilitated with one of these. And I just pull a dagger out.
Oh, those are very useful.
These are
but
small enough to be wielded by anybody, regardless of size. And as long as you practice, you'll be able to hit your target accurately, which is more important with things like this.
Can only know, but
Okay.
sometimes dexterity is more important than strength.
You're not wrong. And I'm a little bit more.
And you see,
Do
like,
you,
Oh
do you,
shit! Back up as he's like waving a dagger now.
do you-
literally,
do you-
he just
wait,
like he does
do you-
the thing where it's like, you know, when there's like he pulls his cape and he puts it out and then he's gone, but he's really just moved to the side. Like that's legitimately what he just did.
do you happen to have one of these on your person?
I mean, I have a small like Crown's Guard knife, but that's about it. Like, it's not anything to write home about.
It's pretty effective if you know how to use it. Stay nimble.
All I know is to just use the pointy end. So
that is an important lesson.
I found that out the hard way. But-
Sam,
Yeah.
you look like you enjoy a good book.
You're not wrong.
Have you been to the Observatory Library?
Not yet. That's on my tour for tomorrow. I was gonna go there.
Well, I work there.
What?
And if I'm around tomorrow, come find me.
Okay. That would be really cool, because, yeah, I'm not really good with the stars and stuff like that, and that's why I gotta go there till I know Professor Xavier's gonna give us, like, a ton of homework. So,
Yes, the stars are very important to learn.
they are. That's very true. So, yeah, I'll be over there tomorrow at some point. It just depends on my class schedule for tomorrow. So, speaking of classes, I should probably get going, Caldrix.
Oh, of course. We wouldn't want to keep you from your studies there.
No, it's all good. It's really great to meet all of you, and I hope to see you all soon.
We wish you the best of fortunes on your exam.
Thanks.
What did you take with you? Okay.
Yeah, thank you though. But I don't get into any more ridiculous shenanigans for. Yeah, okay, fine.
Like he just kind of picks up his bag and.
Perhaps we'll get into more shenanigans, but we'll make sure to log them for later so we can tell you about them.
I like that idea so much better. Yes. Please do.
Cal's like looking at the table as soon as he hears Blackstone talk about shenanigans. He's just like,
Corbin has already is nowhere to be seen near this cup and saucer. He has as soon as your hands have hit the table, he has jumped onto one of them.
Then Cal's doing that whole trick of turning his hand back and forth, where Corbin will run across the fingers and he turns his hand over and he runs back across and climbs under and he keeps doing that over and over.
And Sam will kind of give a quick wave and exits the tea shop, immediately breaking into a sprint as soon as he's out of the shop to race back up to the school. So, yeah, you are left to tea. Is there anything specific you wanted to be doing? Right now, just to give you a time frame in terms of the time, as you have all been kind of chattering, it's about 2 or 3 in the afternoon around that time because the battle didn't take that long. So that's where we're about mid-afternoon.
Long enough for a short rest. Sorry.
It is long enough for a short rest, yes.
I suppose I'm due back to see the headmaster of the school here at some point. Perhaps we can ask her assistance in studying what these shards are.
Would that be Professor Pettyweather?
Possibly.
The headmaster would be?
She's
the
arcanist. Yeah, she would be that. There is also a dean for students, and then of course with the different schools, they each have their own kind of principal or headmaster or mistress, depending. As well.
This particular school is a bit smaller. It was the place that I was recommended to. The headmaster of the school is Deidre Wardington.
Mm-hmm.
Wardington, okay. Are their offices far away then?
No, not terribly.
Then Cal will be, laying out the shards on the table, looking over them and seeing. Is there anything that we can notice that we haven't noticed already, or do we just kind of come up blank and need to take this to an expert?
I mean, you have the shards. You saw the trail leading outside of the city. At this point right now, there's not anything, at least in your current possession that you have that requires more investigating. You have a couple things you could do. You can either try and go take it to a specialist, perhaps someone at the school, or maybe a local jewel wizard that might be able to decipher a couple things. You could go outside the city and see where that trail originates from, and perhaps talk to some of the other caravans and stuff that were nearby that might have seen something. You could just carry about your day and be more mindful. There's a couple different routes that you can kind of take at this point in terms of a direction. So it really just depends on what Cal would see as the most potent path to take.
Right. Well, I mean, looking at these gems and Cal not being one to chase after something before he understands what he's getting into, would probably look back at Blackstone and say, Warden, you say? Was it Deidre Warden?
Wardington.
Wardington, you say? Oh, well then, perhaps I could accompany you. I wouldn't mind finding out anything that they would have to know, unless it was a private appointment you had with them.
No, it's not a private thing. Just making community rounds.
Oh, you're still in the community program, are you? Good to know.
Well, I suppose sort of, but more importantly, it makes me happy. I enjoy doing it. So,
as it should. And so, Cal pulls a blank scroll out from his bag and sets the shards on top of it and rolls them up in the blank scroll. Okay. So he can put it back into the pocket and keep them all together.
Okay. All right. And you can see at this point you can pick up on it just because you've studied magic so much. All the magic in it has left. you also notice, because it's been a little bit, the onyx shards are changing. They're lightening in color.
Okay, so they're getting lighter. More like when you say lightning, so
They're
from
graying. So they're
okay.
going from that deep, dark black essence to right now they're a little bit more of a gray.
All right, still looking like a gem though, not turning into like a common stone.
Correct.
Got
Correct. Yep.
DM, am I able to make a correlation between what's happening with these crystals and what may be happening with Oria's wings at the moment?
Yeah, that's what I was. Yeah, thank you.
Why don't you roll? I'd say investigation because you're kind of trying to pull pieces together. So I would do an investigation check.
Okay. That investigation check is a 17.
Yes.
Can more of us roll as well?
Yes. You can roll again as well.
I won't roll.
Just investigation.
Yep, it's just investigation. Yes, Blackstone, you can definitely sense that there is some kind of correlation between what happened with Oria's wings dulling in color as well as the kind of magical essence being zapped from it, as well as the now lightening of the gems. Because you probably would have seen it unless Cal was trying to keep it really hidden in terms of his rolling up of the gems. But yeah, you are able to see that and notice that specifically.
Cal got a 19 on that.
I got Sareth got an 18.
Okay.
I also
and
got a 19 because I rolled for fun.
all of you are able to
Even
kind of
try.
put 2 and 2 together. Anybody that rolled below, I would say a 14, probably not. But yes,
but
all of
it's-
you are able to put 2 and 2 together.
It's-
Like a whole table of Columbos all of a sudden.
Right?
Yes, Cal.
In Cal's case, does he know enough? He wasn't introduced to Oria until after the wings were affected. So would he even clock the change to connect them? Just question.
Why don't you roll a nature check?
You
Oh,
would
that
have
was
seen
not-
Oria openly looking at
Yeah.
her wings and poking
Alright.
at them
Yeah.
and
I
like
was gonna say that.
investigating them.
Yeah,
Right,
like
he rolled-
her
he rolled
being
a 9.
upset about her wings.
I was more to solidify this. I was more so seeing just to make sure Cal is more aware of like other species and things
Oh.
out there that and yes, would have picked up the fact that Oria is concerned about their wings in some way, shape, or form, but and you do know that typically winged creatures usually fly. So the fact that she is not flying, that could be a personal choice, but seeing the fact that she's a bit concerned about it, I would say you have definitely noticed and can kind of pull from there if Cal is able to put 2 and 2 together when it comes to that. Yes,
I
Sarah.
loudly say, oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
I loudly say, Oria, your wings.
They got weird. They don't work and the color drained out. How odd. If only anyone noticed anything.
Well,
Does
perhaps we can also address that with the headmaster.
Would they be able to help?
Well, they are a headmaster because they know things, so
True.
perhaps.
Sarah, you seem to know stuff. What do you think?
Well, it's just the fact that both Oria's wings and this gem were affected by the same type of magic and now are being sapped of their color. It's very interesting. Is there any way to make like an Arcana check for Sarah to just see if maybe they know what could possibly be
Doing this?
doing this?
Sure. You can do an Arcana check.
That is a 13.
Okay. Being from the north, you have heard folklore and tales of sometimes specifically with magical beings, if they get too close to certain properties, whether it be certain gems or creatures, they can lose that kind of magical ability or essence that they have. It's typically not permanent in smaller quantities, but if it was more prolonged, it's the longer that someone is kind of exposed to it, the longer it takes for that effect to be nullified.
Do I recognize what this gem shard might be?
Based off of that check, no.
Okay. I think going to see the headmaster is a good idea. Or maybe even a cleric at this point. I've heard of certain gems that if exposed to them for too long, creatures or items can lose their magical ability.
Does it come back? Just like flutters.
Well, does it look like Oria's wings are losing more color?
No, they grade. At this point, you
Okay.
see at the very, like, if Oria turns around, where the wings meet Oria's back is where there's just a little bit of color, and it's starting to come back into the wings.
Okay.
It's just very, very small.
Okay.
It seems that this might be a thing where the effects will reverse themselves with time, but the more you're exposed, well, that's the other thing too. I have no idea what that means.
We should probably figure out what that is. If there's something that can do that fast and for this long. And do the fairies know of something like this? Were we warned of don't stand next to magnets? Something like that.
It's iron and bad crystals. Those are the
Yeah.
things that can
Iron,
fuck up a
bad
fairy.
crystals. You also know of.
Don't put your hand next to the
trigger sound?
microwave.
Yeah.
I will not make you roll this, just because this is your experience and what you've kind of grown up with a bit more, especially being in the north. Yes, iron. There are some crystals, as well as specifically in the wintertime, there are ice crabs that can come out that if a fairy touches them, it is very possible they could either lose their wings or disappear altogether. So, yes, Theodore.
Ice crabs. How tasty are these crab legs?
Delicious, which is why we keep
You
touching
know
them like
not
idiots.
to touch them, because if they make fairies disappear, they make humans into statues. So
but, like,
not
can
to
I-
touch.
So even if they're dead and I boil the shit out of them, it's still bad news?
Probably not a great idea.
Oh, well, damn.
Oria will kind of go through this well, it wasn't iron or it wasn't an ice crab. It was a cart. Some crystals, but I wasn't really warned of anything down here.
I think at this point, as we're talking about as Oria is saying all this stuff, I take out the shards of crystal that I had gathered and then just hand them to Cal, because I don't want them near me. I don't want them near my friend, so I just hand them over.
Surely I'll keep them safe. I'll keep them safe. But if you want them back, you can have them.
No, I don't want anything back that's gonna hurt Oria.
Oh, that's more than fair. More than fair. And so he makes sure again they're wrapped up in the parchment so that we don't have to physically touch them any longer than we need to.
Yeah, probably no one should touch them just in case you don't know what it's doing. It could do later.
Right.
I mean, I
Actually,
them
Oria,
with my
can you
bare
roll
hands.
a D8 for me, please?
Oh.
I love how Google Meet for captions keeps changing Oria's name to Oreo.
Can I say something? When April was trying to decide her name, we talked about how people would call her Oreo by accident, or she would actually call herself Oreo.
Amazing.
Well, I have Oreos with me. I love it. I rolled a 2.
You rolled a 2. Okay. You also feel incredibly tired.
I know we said we were gonna go talk to that, but maybe we could go later. Just a little bit of just a nap or something before we go. She's like, just put your head down.
Yeah, just very lethargic.
Ate too much cheese. I don't know.
Hmm.
This is very heavy food.
Can I, I guess this is the DM's choice here. Would it be insight or medicine to just go, normally living like this is my thinking. Normally living creatures may need to have a nap right after eating, but that's normally after they have like a copious amount of food, and that has not happened.
You could do a medicine, I would say in this case.
Rolling medicine to see if Oria has the itis or not.
That is a nat 20.
Yeah, you can tell that this is. Granted, you just met Oria, but based off of how much food Oreo's been eating, it's not enough to send someone into a foodie sleep, food slumber. It's something about it. It may be tied to the wings. It may be tied to the battle that just happened. Something about it is just lowering Oreo's level in terms of energy.
I feel like the situation has now escalated to an emergency, and we should go see the headmaster immediately.
Oria,
Yes.
you say you need a nap. Do you have a place close by?
Oh, that's what we were supposed to be doing. We just got here. Like we literally just got here and then met a friend here and then came to get tea. We were on our way. What were we doing, Theodora? I'm sorry. We had to go. We were looking for a place to stay.
Yeah, you said that you wanted to sleep in someplace, and I said I wanted to camp. But
yes, we were still debating if we were staying here for the night or going outside.
Well, the school most schools tend to have some kind of room for visiting lecturers. So if needs be, and an emergency rest is needed, perhaps the headmaster will know best where to find the most expedient rest.
And at the very least, I can help find us the most expedient path to the headmaster.
Yes.
Literally,
whatever you want to do. I'm
player note, literally a background feature. Like I just know the fastest way to get anywhere in a city.
You do.
Well,
feature.
regardless, I don't think Mary, as sweet as she is, would prefer that you nap on one of the tables.
Oh no, I wouldn't do that. I would wait till we got somewhere else and took a nap. She's
Honestly,
like slowly
you look like
leaning
you're about to
towards
fall asleep
Theodora.
anywhere.
Theodora, I would, I feel like apologies isn't the right word, but it's the only word that I have. My apologies for imposing. Would you mind carrying Oria to the headmaster's office?
Oh, I feel like Theodora was already in the process of getting up to do just
already having
that.
cradled like a little baby.
Yeah. Like, huh?
Could you use a bit more healing, Oria there?
Oh no, I feel great. It's been a long day. We walked a lot in the cart. Just nap time. Some fairies take naps after lunch. It's a normal thing.
All right. Well, then Cal gets up, starts grabbing his bag, shouldering it, grabs his walking stick, slides his book his spell book into his bag as well, and then he holds up his hand next to his cloak for Corbin to get her out of there, because Corbin had like wandered into the folds of his cloak and everything. So for Corbin to get her out of there, and there you go, back to dad you go. And so he hands Corbin back to Blackstone.
I look at Corbin for a long moment like, I have been a caretaker for a while. Is that what being a parent means? I'll have to ponder that later. And I just put Corbin into like my scarf somewhere.
And so then Blackstone, say you know the way, show the way.
Okay, so off we go to see the headmaster of this small school, also located in Illipin.
Yep. So as you pay Mary, she bids you adieu, and you step out onto the busy streets of Illipin. I think this is a perfect time for a break. So we'll take a 10-minute break, y'all. Make sure to get up and stretch, move around, and we'll be right back.
Then we just start. I feel like we just started.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep. welcome back, everybody. Hope you were able to hydrate and move around and get a snack. And we are going to dive back into the Vale of Ampistrano. So, our adventurers have just stepped onto the path of the busy streets of Illipin and are making their way over to a small mage school that is separate from the colleges that are set near the river of Illipin. It's actually on the opposite side of the wall, outside of the city itself. Blackstone, you know the quickest way to get there to avoid the touristy streets and all of that in order to get to where you need to go. It does take you a good 15 minutes just because it's more on the northeast side. The colleges where Cal is more associated with are on the northwest side. So you're going to the complete opposite side of the city. And then exiting the large gates. You're also kind of keeping track of Aurea, who's very tired. I will say this because I did not say this before break. One thing that we have talked about and one thing that our players are going to be keeping track of is a spirit score. This spirit score is separate from their kind of religion checks or even their HP. It is the essence of who they are. One would argue their soul, essentially. So, they will be able to roll to gain certain points with that. Aurea had a score of 4 and it has dropped down to, I forgot the point that I gave you, to 2.
2. I now have a 2.
Yes. So that is, so the rest of everybody can understand what happened. Aurea lost 2 soul points, or spirit points, if you want to call it that as well. And that may be contributing to the fact that she's a little bit tireder than usual.
Is this a mechanic that in game would have a in-universe aspect that we would know about, or is it some kind of mysterious force that we are needing to learn more about and pick up on?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
Because it's your energy and your spirit and being energized. It's kind of the idea of how many spell slots or spoons do you have each day. So you can tell that Aurea, especially Deodora can pick up on this, went from being exuberant and excited and super into exploring the world to wanting a nap. So it just seems a little out of place. You don't know too much about it just because it's not something you really have had to deal with in your day-to-day life.
Right.
But after about 15 minutes, you leave the walls of Illipin. Not far, you see that there is a... Good. Thank you. Thank you. So not far, you see that there is a small outcropping of buildings that are just off of the road from Illipin. Stone walls, there's a small tower, but the vegetation's largely covering the majority of it. This is the small mage school of Astera.
Quick note, is this in a similar or different direction than Cal saw the trail since we're going outside the walls?
Different direction.
Different direction, got it.
Yep.
What's the spelling on that?
Astera. I'll put it in chat as well.
Thank you.
No problem. So, Astera, the lesser known of the colleges, still has a proud history, and you are able to make your way to the gates. There's not really any Crown's Guard that are standing by. There is a mage that's kind of just clocks all of you as you're coming on in, nods towards Blackstone, recognizing the familiar face, smiles at each of you. Cal, you are specifically picking up, there's almost like a bubble that you're kind of pushing through as you are coming into this area. And this much smaller outside is very large on the inside. Oh, you are muted, Blackstone. Oh, no.
I'm not muted. I just haven't said anything yet.
Oh, okay. It looked like you were talking. Sorry.
Much like myself, this place was designed to not bring attention to itself.
Mm-hmm.
Is that said out loud?
That's said to you.
Oh, Cal will hear that in his head and almost stumble as we're going, because he stumbles and he looks around, but then he snaps his head back to Blackstone to double check that was him.
Do I need to carry you too? Are you tired?
Oh no, I'm fine. It's just sorry. Just the sun hot today. Shiny skin. It's just a damn beacon out here, and sometimes it's just draining a bit. No worries, I'm fine. And he he's looking back at Blackstone again.
Theodora just looks at you strangely and then shrugs like, okay.
And so Cal will respond to Blackstone, again, telepathically. So you can do it now. You can mind talk, can you?
It took a little bit of practice. I also learned that I shouldn't do that to people before they are aware that I can do that. It scares them.
Oh, that's right. That does remind me. And so Cal will then out loud turn to Aurea and say, "Oh, once again, so sorry for speaking in your mind there. Before I had asked any permission. That's not trying to be intrusive or anything. It is an emergency situation, you see."
Oh, it's fine. It helped. She snuggles into Theodora.
And if it helps you to know, complete transparency here, friends, it's as a dragonborn, I'm able to speak to people into their minds. However, I cannot read them. So don't worry that don't worry if I ever speak to you through the mind that I'm reading your thoughts. I've got no intention nor ability to do so.
Can you hear us if we talk to you, or are you the talker?
Oh well, unless you know how to reach my mind, which it's not the Dragonbirth. We aren't the only ones in the world that can take care of it. However, if I reach out to you, you can certainly talk back.
That sounds useful. How do you learn that?
Oh, born with it, you see. It's the gem Dragonbirth. We don't quite know why we have this ability versus other Dragonbirds, but there's lots of stories, lots of legends, but let's be honest and call it what it is. No one really knows. We just make jokes that we're the ones that like to be shy and hide. So we learned how to talk without talking, you see.
Theodora's like, I wonder if that's true. Like in her head, just like not.
I'm sure they could be very useful.
Oh, often it is. The problem being that you can only talk to one person at a time. It's not a group conversation talent. So there'd be times where, the home of Dragonbirds are just silent, but everyone's actually talking to each other. It's only when we need to talk as a family that we'll start speaking out loud.
I can't imagine my family not talking out loud. That's, howling and, whatnot. That's how we let each other know where we are.
You just yell for each other.
No, we howl.
Oh.
Oh, forest folk, are you?
Yeah.
I've made some camp. I've made some camp with some forest folk before. Having to walk here, there, and everywhere. Growing up.
What pack?
Oh, afraid I didn't catch the name. Oh, wait. They were more. They did like badgers. It seemed to be they had friends among the badgers. But can't recall the name at the moment. DM, should I make? Is there some established name that I can pull from if I roll? Asking both DM and Theodora, because Finn had not one prepared.
The clan would be Brigators. That you were thinking about. Brigators. Brigators. Brigators.
Brigators. All right, so they're fans of badgers and they're like, but brigand.
Oh, the Brigators?
Oh, yeah, the Brigators. Yeah, a couple of times I needed to bed down for the night by the road, and they offered to make camp together, so we did.
Yeah, we do trade with them sometimes, and they give really good ear scritches.
Certainly.
She looks like a regular human.
Oh no, that's fine. That's fine. You know, and if these are the same type of forest folk that Theodora is, then I'm assuming would have appeared human as well, just with an affinity towards badgers.
Yeah, they give really great ear scritches.
As this is happening, just because Blackstone, you did message me, you do see as this is kind of happening, Blackstone's kind of just meandering in and out of the group, approaching students that are milling about. Cal, you immediately pick up that, like, compared to the very well dressed, somewhat put together students that you saw at your school, you were seeing that these students are wearing more like natural based greens, not so much the purples and vibrant colors that normally you would associate with magic. Instead it's going with more duller kind of tones, earthier tones. Still beautiful in its own way, but somewhat hidden until you get a little bit closer, and then you see that actually they have a bit of jewelry or some pins on or something like that kind of enamors it a bit more. Blackstone, based upon the number of people you approach, which it does take couple people give you random answers because they don't know, just because specifically Deidre is known to wander specifically in the afternoon, right around tea time. So with this, eventually they tell you that that she is in Farrowinton's Glade, which is an area in the school towards the back where the gardens are. A little respite for students if they're getting overwhelmed, a little study area. You know that this area has illusionary magic because it's really just a small puddle, but it looks like, as you were kind of rounding the corner, like there's a lake and several large trees that are in the area and just little seating areas. And not too far from the lake is you see a earth genasi who has amethyst hair kind of growing in shards down the back. She's got green skin with, it looks like in patches, like almost like it goes from green to a brown, like it's literally stones coming out of the earth itself. She is wearing a series of pins as well as half moon spectacles as she's kind of doing her reading. Has a number of parchments in front of her, seems to be very into her grading. And every now and then she kind of stirs her teacup that's next to her and is sitting at the table.
Might I bother you for a moment?
Blackstone. It's been a minute. If you're bothering me in my head, this must be serious.
I am afraid to report that it is.
That's not a great start. And she quickly turns into your direction. And she says out loud, and I see you brought friends this time.
I brought friends and I also brought stones. I am not sure of their nature.
Fair enough. First off, it's a pleasure to meet all of you. But why don't we go towards my study? We might be able to, one, get a little bit of privacy, and two, be able to look into this a little bit more with my tools. And she looks over at Oria. Do you need any more assistance? Or, I mean, it looks like you're in capable hands.
I'm fine, just sleepy, but thank you.
Fair enough.
Gal will speak up. We're concerned that there was a bit of a magical mishap, and our friend might have been affected.
Wings are really dull, which is not normal. And she's never tired. Even when it's
No.
time to bed down, she's always just, it's a lot of energy. And sometimes it's a lot. Yeah.
Understandable. Let's head to my study and we'll see what we can do. And she leads past you through the ivy-covered walls and stone floors up into the tower itself. And at the very top is her office, which is very orderly. You see that there's a broom that's moving around and doing some cleaning. Everything is put together, put away in its proper spot. And she claps her hands as you all enter and the door shuts behind you. You also see a number of sigils that pop up on the door as well as the windows around that illuminate for a moment. Cal, you would pick up, I'm not going to make you roll, just based off of your passive, that this is some kind of spell to block off if anyone's trying to scry or listen in on the conversation. Very much that kind of creating a safe space.
Non-detection. Got it.
Yep. So she does that, as well as you see her desk flips over into a there's a bed for Oria to be laid on if she needs a place to sleep, as well as you see a number of different tools, some for components. There's a small cauldron in the corner that pops up as well to do some investigating. All right. Well, there's a spot for you if you want to take a rest.
Immediately just flops on it and is out.
All right. And you see she kind of waves her hand, and it looks like a small blanket just kind of slithers up on top of Oria to kind of give her some coverage.
One thing the rest of the party would notice, because this is the first time, when Oria sleeps, her wings kind of come in and kind of wrap around her.
Almost like a cocoon. So yeah, that happens, and she ends up kind of moving her chair closer to Oria, pulls back the blanket to kind of look at the wings a little bit more. Okay, I think I'm starting to get a somewhat of an idea of the situation, but why don't you tell me what's going on? What happened?
I want to say Theodora's like standing almost uncomfortably close to this professor, like kind of protective, like if you do anything that I do not like, I'm going to bite your hand.
Well, we came in contact with a carriage that seemed to be animated and attacking nearby citizenry. And after a bit of a skirmish, well, I suppose to say the least, it exploded and only left a couple of shards behind. And in the battle, our companion here got hurt.
Do you happen to have these shards by chance?
I don't, but they do. And I just point at Deodora and Cal.
Oh, I don't have them anymore. I gave them to Cal.
Okay,
And I don't want them.
Then I just pivot the other hand like to Cal so that both of my fingers are pointing at him.
So Cal pulls out the scroll and since the headmaster flipped the desk over to a bed, is that the only surface?
There's a spot it's a small side table from the bed that's where think of when you're at the dentist, they have their little side table with all the components on there. So there is a space on there that you could put the stone fragments there.
So the trouble in this instance was a cart brought to life with the help of this. Is it still recognizable as an onyx? This was
lift the parchment and reveal it.
Right, I'm rolling it out on the surface.
It's turning into an emerald color.
That's new. You see, this was an onyx and seemed to have been driving the animated cart, and it started to fade after being shattered, and then which stopped the cart's rampage, and it was turning pale before, but the green is new. The green is just now that this has begun to turn, and it would appear that at the time it was given off some magic from the school conjuration branch of magic, and an aura was following it out past the city wall at the time it was animated.
Would you mind setting it down and try not to touch it? I don't want whatever's going on with her to be going on with anyone here.
Of course, and Cal lays the scroll out on the table with the shards on top of it.
And you see she gets this small thing to go on top of her glasses to kind of magnify it a bit more. And she reaches in to her bag and pulls out a set of looks like pliers, and kind of lifts one of the fragments up to the light. And you said it was an onyx originally.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Right now, at least the components that are making up of it's more emerald than anything. So the question is, I think, too, there's something inside it. And she kind of moves away from Oreo with it and the rest of you over to another table. And you see her kind of messing with it. She puts it up, and there's a little holder, kind of imagine you would put a light bulb in, that she puts the gem in. And she shines a light through it. Interesting. Okay. And she kind of weaves her fingers, and an orb kind of moves around it. All right. I think we're okay for the moment. Step over here.
Okay, fine.
You see that? And she points towards the center of this emerald. And
is this in big chunk kind of shards, or what are we looking at?
It's tiny, but she's got that microscope to kind of blow it up a little bit for you. In the very center of it,
okay,
you see what looks like wisps of blue and white, almost like threads pulled from a sweatshirt or carpet, and it's moving ever so slightly. Small little waves. very tiny. But you also notice with this magnifying, as the light brightens on the gem itself, the threads move a little bit more vibrantly.
Is this living?
I guess your better question is to ask what you define as living.
Oh, well, at least is this from something living? You know, there's a sapphire is a sapphire from the earth, but then and then he like taps his horn. And then there's, you know, certain minerals that we walk around with.
I don't know. This is not something that I'm super familiar with.
Cal, did you see anything else suspicious around the scene at the time that we found these?
Other than that trail going off from behind the cart, didn't pick up on anything fairly dubious. It did come across the magic that was animating. Did come across as something. How to say it? Unnatural might be the wrong word, but something a bit imposed.
Otherworldly?
Yeah, something imposed, something that wasn't cooperating with magic, but forcing the magic to work.
Well,
and the aura, the trail it left behind did sever once the onyx was broken.
well, whatever we're dealing with here isn't of a school that I'm familiar with in terms of magic. We're dealing with something that, at least here, I don't know about up north, but at least here, this isn't something that's necessarily studied in the complexity of it. And you can see she's kind of shifting between like being very interested in like approaching it from a theoretical standpoint, but also trying to be remaining compassionate because there's a patient on the table,
Right.
kind of thing. That she does care about too, but it's kind of the balancing of the two worlds.
Well,
Do
then
you
have
know
you?
what school of magic this is?
And you say that. I'm sorry. What is her name?
Aurea.
Aurea. You said that her energy dropped after coming into contact with this.
Very specifically because she was attacked by it.
Well, energy has to go somewhere. I'm wondering if it's in here. Or you said it dulled?
I like her wings there. You see her wings, she can't use them at the moment.
Those, but also you mentioned the gems because you said it was onyx.
Oh, aye. Black as the night sky it was.
This is going to require more study on my part, but typically energy doesn't just disappear. It transforms or moves into a different space. So either this gem was taking it, but for what reason? And it's holding on to it, or it's sent it elsewhere.
Do you know of anyone who can give back energy once it's stolen?
That's more of a cleric's study. And I've heard of curses that do that kind of thing, not necessarily spells or specifically stones. So we're dealing with something that honestly is a marriage between different things. Different magics is what I'm trying to say.
Right, of course. So conjuration was as close as I could get, but of course if there was something else there that I didn't know to see, I wouldn't have seen it.
Well, it's kind of hard to classify something when there's not exactly a classification for it yet.
Of course. Closest that I could get.
But best that I can tell, based upon her coloring of her wings, she's slowly getting it back. If we are going off of anything that is somewhat familiar, it's thankful that she didn't have more exposure to it, because it's likely that more of it would have been, well, devastating.
Is there a way to know for sure whether these are safe to touch or safe to carry?
I would say probably not a great idea to hold. It looks like it's still somewhat active, but
Right.
she quickly kind of gets up and moves over towards one of her chests of drawers. And you hear her rummaging around for a little bit, and she pulls out a lead small box. Think of like where the size of like an engagement ring box would hold. That's lead, so probably slightly better than carrying it around in a bunch of scrolls.
Aye.
But I would put it in there for now. If you don't mind, I can hang on to a couple of these shards and try and do some investigation on my end. And if I learn of anything, I can let Blackstone know of it as well.
And Cal looks around to the group, and it seems fine by me, but certainly wouldn't be mine to say entirely.
I think during this whole conversation, it's a lot of magic talk, which Theodora doesn't understand because it's just not her forte. And all she hears is, I can't help your friend. Somebody else has to help your friend. So she's like gathering her stuff to like leave and find somebody who can help her friend. And she does not give a shit about these fucking shards.
Perhaps somebody from Professor, do you know anyone, or do you have any contacts who would be from the school of divination, perhaps?
I do have some contacts there. I could reach out. It is going to take some time just because most everyone's getting ready for the festival. But I'm sure as soon as I let them know the direness of the situation, because this doesn't just impact one of us, it possibly could impact all of us.
Aye, so the seems that our quandary here is to either find the source and hope that that holds the key to restoring what's been taken, or finding a temple where someone will know if it can be restored.
Mm-hmm. It's like I said, I feel like just based off of what I've seen and what I've been told, at least, this is not something that is going to be solved by a simple visit to the cleric. It's going to be a marriage of the different magics that are there. So you've got the spiritual, you've got the arcane. I probably could talk to one of my archdruid contacts as well, see if we can find some kind of solution to the problem.
Of course.
This isn't Jorix, so we're there isn't just one answer here. There's several ways to get to it.
And then Cal will turn to the rest of everyone, the rest of the party, and say, well, I suppose we could gather some notes and gather some observations from the path that the trail was leading, that the aura came off the cart, but I'm afraid I can't promise it will be safe, and I'm afraid I can't go alone. Not much in a scrap, you see. But I would humbly offer my services as an investigator if you would care to find out where this came from.
Are we looking to go right now?
Cal looks at Aurea and looks back and says, "Feared be a danger to wait."
Yes. And then Sereth will look to Diodora, and then back to Cal. Are we looking to move Aurea to some lodging, or do you think she is safe here?
Keep an eye on her. She'll be safe here for the moment.
It's entirely up to Aurea and how she feels. I wouldn't deign make someone stay put out all beyond against their will. However, I would also understand if out and about's not the safest place for you there.
I think she's like sleeping.
Oh yeah, she's passed out right now.
All right, or if the safest place, if out and about wasn't the safest place for her.
Well then,
I look to Blackstone because Blackstone knows this professor. Do you think she would be safe here?
Blackstone?
You're mute.
Well, considering how long I have been here and the safety of this school, I can't imagine her being safer much of anywhere. I would say that, the second best defense is a strong one, and the first one is not being found in the first place, which I believe is what this particular school specializes in.
You would be correct.
PM, quick question.
Sure.
The telepathy.
Mhm.
Would it work on a sleeping individual, or does someone have to be conscious to receive and speak?
Telepathy would work on a sleeping individual.
All right.
Kind of like an alarm clock that can permeate your dreams as you're, sleeping on a beach, and then all of a sudden, whichever really hot actor is now beep, beep, beep in your head. So, yeah.
Exactly. Then Cal will look at the group and say, well, I'd hate for her to wake with a startle and not know where we had all gone and have her feel abandoned. So, just a moment, and he'll look at Aurea lying there, and in Aurea's dream space, wherever Aurea's mind happens to be, Aurea would hear the, Aurea, how are you now? It's Calvin. I was just wanting to make sure, not to startle you, but we feel you're safe here. The professor confident she can care for you in the meantime, but it seems that we might need to find where this started in order to help you, dear. So I believe we'll be going in search of it. We don't want to leave you in case you wanted to come along, but we also didn't want to make you go.
You'll hear back, it's fine. Oh, no, it's fine. I can come with you. I'll get up now. And you see one wing kind of flutter. But she does, and just kind of goes back down. And, a second, maybe I should just stay here. And then that's it.
And then Cal will then look at the rest of the group. Right. She needs to stay. and I let her know we'd be back as fast as we can. And he says that last bit to Diodora especially. Like, let her know we'd be back fast as we can.
Diodora will approach the bed again, and she has this little bracelet on her wrist. It's hand woven, and she takes it off and she puts it on Aurea's wrist, just kind of as a sign, hey, I'm coming. Aurea would know this is very important to her, this little bracelet, and so putting it on her is I'm gonna come back, so you it's collateral almost, giving it to her.
In her sleep, when you do that, she, her hand kind of lightly grabs your arm and just kind of gives it a gentle squeeze.
I squeeze back a little bit and then I walk away.
Before we leave, Cal looks over at the professor and asks, do you have any books on identifying spells, their headmaster?
I've got a couple of them in our library.
Divination spells. Would you mind me taking a look before we leave, then?
Sure.
out of game, DM, he's going to try to find the identify spell,
Sure.
and it will only take him 2 minutes to copy.
Okay. In game, she kind of rings a bell, and eventually one of her TAs comes up and escorts you down the tower below ground into what would normally be for a castle, the dungeon area. And behind a solid wall, there's a number of sigils that pop into place. And they lead you into this underground library that is pretty large. Not as big as what you were probably used to being from the other school, but it's it gets the job done.
Right. And Cal will thank the TA, let him know thank you very much, I appreciate it. And so just however long it would take for Cal to find the appropriate spell identify, if it should be there, and he will produce his glass, it looks like a glass work pin that he just kind of waves his hand and it shows up in the air and then he catches it. And this is his own magic quill that produces its own ink. He'll pop open his spell book. All right then, Drix, got a new one for you today. And he will take the time to copy the identify spell, and Drix kind of appears and like stretches. Oh, finally something new, that'd be good. And so Drix more or less just kind of sits there like watching Cal write it as he puts the identify spell into his spellbook.
Perfect. As that's happening, is there anything else, Blackstone, Theodora, Sereth, or even Oria? Yes, you're sleepy, but you can still do some things in the time being that it takes for Cal to go. It takes Cal about a half hour, 45 minutes, so you've got a little bit if you wanted to do something.
Sereth will also just kind of walk slowly around the bookshelves and just kind of see what all is here. If there's anything regarding astronomy, seafaring, anything that they're familiar with, they will just kind of pull the book and flip through it a little bit and then put it back right where it goes.
Sure. You are able to find a number of titles specifically talking about the stars. Is there something specific you are looking for?
Not particularly. Okay. Sereth is just kind of seeing what all is here.
Sure. You find about 2 or 3 different novels that go into detail about the 3 moons that are in the sky, some of the folklore behind it. There's one, the large one, Acromedes. I'll send you the spelling of that later.
Perfect.
Acromedes, as well as the 2 sisters, Polaro and Numenor, talking about the supposed relation between the 3 of them from a kind of celestial point of view in terms of how they rotate and how long they are projected to have been there, as well as a little bit of lore as to how they got their names and things like that. So you are able to find that information. There's a... Why don't you roll? Let's see for a moment. You roll investigation for a moment.
Yeah.
While that's happening, Cal
yes.
will,
21.
Oh, sorry.
21.
21. Okay. So you are also able to find that there is a bunch of different theories about how the stars are and celestial beings that are out there. you are also able to find a rather large paragraph that talks about a theory. It's very weathered. You can see these books are very old. But this paragraph specifically talks about a theory about the stars having moved during the time of the rupture, and that they are in different spots. And there's even a small graph that does a before proposed, like where the stars were, the moons were as well, to where they are now. Now, it goes on to discuss further that, you know, this is heavily debated. Probably someone was reading their astronomy map incorrectly or backwards. But it does go into that theory a little bit more. So yes, you are able to find a bit of information in regards to that. Seafaring, not so much. This one is more, you get this library has a lot in terms of celestial knowledge as well as more magic, not necessarily nautical. Cal, yes.
Oh, Cal would have just asked the TA after he has done copying the spell. Do you mind if I borrow the book? I'll make sure to bring it back when we return. Or they're not for lent. If they're not for lending.
They're not really for lending.
Of course.
Just because we have a pretty limited library, but you could take down the title and see if they have it at perhaps one of the libraries in Illipin or one of the bookshops.
Certainly. So he will write down that title, and you can.
Magic Mixes. Magic Mixes is the title that you were able to pick. And you're pretty sure you could find that easily in one of the shops.
Certainly.
Blackstone, Aurea, and Diodora. Anything you are wanting to do in this time?
Simply just like a couple of words with the headmaster in the following manner.
Sure.
Thank you for the last year of help, and I will do my best to not cause too much trouble, but I fear that I may have to cause a bit more than I wish to if we're going to save our friend here.
Thank you. This kind of trouble, Blackstone, isn't really trouble at all. This is stuff that we should know about, because this could impact far more than just your friend here. So, not that I necessarily want you all to get into trouble, but just knowing you, and you kind of hear a small chuckle in your head. I know trouble usually follows, but this will allow us the opportunity, as well as the students, the opportunity to be prepared. So, just be careful out there.
Well, I suppose that means when the occasion calls for it, I will choose violence with glee. Everyone hears that part out loud.
Well, there you go.
I think Diodora is just restless, like waiting for this person to write from one book into another book, and that's weird. And just like her friends not doing well, and so she's like pacing the room, and it's almost reminiscent of like a caged animal, like the combination of wanting to just get this over and done with and also being cooped up in a room for far too long. She's just pacing, and as she paces, if anybody's paying attention, you see like her fingers like sort of her nails sort of like grow into claws and retract, and like you could hear like joints kind of popping, like she's transforming a little bit but then stopping herself and like pulling it back. But it's almost like she can't control it because she's so restless that it's just kind of happening without her knowledge, but without her control. So it's just like she's just like and growling a little under her breath, just like wanting to leave. Because the sooner they leave, the sooner they can figure this out and come back.
Very
Theodora, a question. How well do you do violence?
How well do I do violence? Very well.
That will be very useful, I fear.
Yeah. I think when she says very well, her her fingers sort of elongate. It's like a little grotesque because it's like human person. Like she appears human, but then her fingers sort of grow out into like these claws. And like a little bit of hair starts to crop up along the back of her hand. And it's very bestial. Like her face is growing a little bit more bestial as she says very well.
Cal will say, but we could try non-violence first, yeah?
Why?
They
chose violence first.
Certainly. If it's a hostile individual, then force might be necessary. I just like to try the other one first.
Well, then we can compromise and perhaps give them a few brief moments to explain themselves before choosing violence, instead of choosing violence immediately.
Oh, fair. Just a sporting chance to allow them to be kind if they're going to choose it, and if they don't, of course they don't.
I think they've already chosen to not be kind.
Certainly. Oh, well then, I've finished with the spell I was searching for. So if there's nothing else that you would like to do, I suppose we could get back onto the trail of
out the door. She's out the door. You said
right.
Goodbye.
Okay, good. Then,
it's like you basically told a dog that they could go for, and I can't say this word out loud because my dog's here. You're taking them for a WAOK. Like right. That's basically what you said. Is she's gone.
Like I imagine it panning over to Cal and being like, "Hey, so I guess if we're ready to go," and then it pans back over to where Blackstone and Deodora would be, but there's just an outline that's just flashing because Deodora's not there.
Oh, right then. Okay, good. That answers the question. Let's go.
Deodora and Blackstone choosing violence immediately.
I love it. All right. So all of you are back together at this point. Okay.
During all that,
yes,
Deodora. Deodora. You're Deodora. I'm Aurea. Sorry. I was like, Deodora, don't leave me. Aurea is having dreams of back being in school, and it's just like fight training, and in her brain, how to dodge better, how to move faster, how to be quicker. And that's like the training from school is going through her brain.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
And on our way, I guess we're on our way out of the school now, heading down the road. Well, as a walk and talk, as we're moving, Cal will be looking back over the spell that he just copied, and he says, well, I managed to find a spell that would help us figure out the nature of this item if we were to find another one like it. However, I do see here that there's a cost to certain spells, and this one would require a pearl of not a cheap pearl. It would be a pearl of about 100 gold, but I'm not sure that I have one on me currently. In fact, I'm positive I don't have one on me currently, but perhaps not enough to bargain for one. Would any of you know where we could find a pearl?
Well, I'm sure someone has one. Would you like me to? And then there's a pause because I'm talking to Cal. I will hold that suggestion for the time being.
Thank you. I would appreciate it. If it fits my guess, then I would like to use that as a last resort. However, if you know, well, I suppose we're all kind of new in town. I guess he's looking more at Sereth, who's been here longer. Would there be a place where we could perhaps find someone sympathetic to our task at hand who wouldn't mind giving us a good bargain.
Where do I know of any like vendors, merchants, anything like that that Sereth would frequent to get spell components, gems, stuff like that?
You know of a couple different vendors. Specifically, depends upon what you're doing in terms of components. But the closest one to the tea shop where you frequent is Greenwich's.
Okay.
They have a lot of random spell components, kind of a mix of different things. They also, you would know, have a contact at the market that often brings in things like clams and oysters from the sea.
Mm-hmm.
That could be another alternative that she sometimes points you to if things are perhaps a little bit too pricey.
Perfect. Also would be looking for shops that deal in herbs, more of the like selling like crystals, rocks.
Right.
Greenwich would have the majority
perfect.
of those things. Yep.
Perfect.
Yep.
Well, one place that I like to frequent and will probably have what you need is Greenwich's, which is back close to the tea shop where we were.
Right. I don't mean to bother. I know we are trying to make haste here. However, I would hate to find our location or reach our destination and not be able to complete the task, unless everyone feels like it's better to go investigate first and then come back and get the components for the spell if we need to cast it.
Wait, which spell are we casting?
Oh, I found an identification spell.
Ah.
The problem is I would need a pearl, and it's what I don't have.
We would be wasting more time to keep doubling back to get the things that you need.
Oh, certainly. Good to note on our return of where to go.
Well, it would make more sense.
I'm saying go get your stuff now so we don't have to come back to get it.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Greenwich's is on the way out of the city, the direction you want to go.
Certainly. Then.
So, and it makes more sense for you to have the spell components that you need for when you find the thing you need to identify.
Very good, then lead the way.
All right, Sereth is gonna take everybody to Greenwich's.
You make your way back through the city towards the tea shop. And you see just off of the street, the main street where the tea shop is, one of the corner side streets. There is a tree, which looks a little out of place in Illipin itself. But there is a tree, and as you get closer, it's 2 stories. You can see that there's a window in the top section of the tree itself with a sign that says Greenwich's Givings with branching that goes around the sign itself. The lower floor has the door bright red, as well as there is a window where it seems like every now and then, Sereth, you would know this, Greenwich kind of just slides the window and just kind of helps anybody that's coming up to the shop that maybe doesn't want to go into the shop, to kind of help with those quick transactions, or more likely than not giving directions to where they actually need to go. So you are able to find it no problem. It is a little bit busy just because, again, at this point we're approaching about dinner time, like 6 or 7 o'clock at night. just because you've been moving around quite a bit, took some time at the college to do your thing as well. So it is approaching dinner time, so people are coming in from the fields and coming into the city to settle in. But yeah, you are in front of the shop. It does look like she perhaps just closed, but you could certainly try and see.
Sareth will knock.
You knock. A couple minutes pass, and eventually you see a centaur makes her way to the door. This centaur is female, very old, has white hair, wrinkles on her face, curly mess of hair. And has a one horn that kind of loops around the side. Oh yes, oh Seraph. It's almost dinner time. What are you doing here?
Bash. Oh. Yes. I'm so sorry that we're bothering you so late. We're actually about to just head out of town, and my friend Cal here is looking for a pearl.
Yes, so sorry. I hate to bother you if it wasn't an emergency, but you see, we have a friend who seems to be hurt, and if we don't get to the source of it, we don't know how to heal her. And for the identification spell, I would need a pearl.
I think I still have one more, and could potentially be used. They don't come cheap. And you see her kind of eyeing over at Cal.
I am aware.
So
Perhaps
it's an emergency, though. So I will give you it, but you must do something for me in return at a later date.
Right, just a favor when we return to town, then.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, of course. And he pulls out a little piece of parchment and scribbles out his name and the college on it, and rolls it up and hands it to Greenwich and says, "Carriage Derek, staying at Lyrose, and if you find me at the school or send word to Professor Pittyweather, I'm sure they'd be able to find me whenever you do need me. However, we'll make sure to drop by on our way back in town."
All right. And she disappears for a moment, and eventually comes out with a pearl that she hands over to you. It's definitely weathered. It's definitely bottom of the barrel. The final one that she has, but she will take your IOU note. And you see she kind of just smacks it on top of the window. Just for safekeeping. All right. Well,
You have my word. You can hear me and hold me to it.
Well, I know where to hunt you down, and I also know how to hunt Seraph down. She kind of winks over at Seraph. Don't get into too much trouble, huh?
Of course not.
All right. Good luck. And she closes the window.
And Cal will turn to Sareth. "Well, I thank you, Sareth, and be assured that I don't mean to put the debt upon you. Hold it on myself, you know."
Oh, yes, of course. But just so you know, she will find me. And she will shake me down.
Quite certain. So let's be with some expedience here so we can make sure that we don't stay in a debt too long.
Shake you down from what?
She's gonna hunt you?
Yes. If she doesn't get paid.
And then Cal will, knowing that this is a stumbling block for Blackstone in most conversations, Cal will say to Blackstone, "Oh, using a turn of phrase there, Blackstone, Sareth means that she will, Greater Witch will compel payment in one way or another.
Ah, understood.
It is what we would call a shakedown.
When she hunts you, is that to?
Oh, simply meaning a search. Simply meaning a search, dear. Not violent means. I hope.
Oh, she might get violent, depending on how long it's been.
Oh, I see. Then very well.
Did you see those hooves? They're huge.
Well, then in that case, all the more reason to be expedient.
I've brought down prey about that big before.
I mean, that's fine, but I like shopping there. I would still like to be able to shop there.
Well, I'm saying if she comes to hunt you.
If she comes to hunt me, it's for a very good reason, because she hasn't been paid, and she deserves to get paid.
It was a fair deal. We weren't entering into a contract against her will here. We agreed.
Okay. People like to be hunted. Good.
Oh no, I don't like to be hunted.
Not that we like to. There's certain situations where you don't have too many options.
They're protesting this, and I just walk away.
All right then. Okay, good. Yeah, right. That's a. Theodora walking away from conversations is just like a trope that I'm here for. But all right, yeah, good. That's a good decision. You know, the sun's getting low there, so we might as well keep walking.
We need a fan that says Theodora walks away.
Right.
Amazing. So as you all are walking in the evening light, heading your way outside Illipin, tracking the trail, we're going to shift back to Aurea. Aurea, you mentioned that as you're dreaming, you are dreaming of school. What specifically are you dreaming of?
Aurea is actually dreaming back to and thinking back to a time, probably training with her sister.
Okay.
Her sister went cleric, while Aurea went monk, and just Aurea's sister is older than her by a couple years, and it's just a dream of Aurea's sister just like pounding her with like spells as Aurea's like trying to power through them and like just get to her as she's like just like trying to hit her. And you see this is when Aurea starts to get better, and you see like uncontrolled vamping in and out like around the battlefield without being able to like land where she wants to, learning how her flurry of blows actions work. And it's just her constantly just getting hit by like cantrip level cleric attacks, just learning to power through.
As you are moving around, it's almost like there's a weight that's been added. You're not moving as quickly as you remember. A little bit slower. Your wings look a little bit duller compared to the vibrancy that's around you. And after a few moments, a few blinks or steps, you find yourself in an area that is just beyond an archway, not too far from where you live, normally covered with cobwebs and linings of the forest floor that have been kind of waving in the wind. You close your eyes for a moment, and suddenly it's starlight surrounding you. In a veil. First you think it's a comet, but then that very familiar signature you've seen on the tapestries around the school You're touching the veil. You see just beyond it, a little bit further, humanoid silhouette of a woman with long hair. Looks like clouds shifting in the wind. Right now her back is towards you. But you can feel that even though she's not looking at you directly, she's watching you. She's with you. And as she turns her head towards you with a small smile, that is where we're going to end today's episode.
Real quick, if it's who I think it is, Oria will go down into quick bow as
Sure.
she's turning. We'll just start to bow.
Yeah, sure. That is where we're going to end today's episode, y'all.
Nope.
You're busy
No.
shopping. Let me go on my dream walk.
She's going on her own kind of dream
Oh no,
walk. for
I
the
loved
moment.
your dream walk. The dream walk was fantastic. I don't like the thought that you're close to the veil. I don't like that.
It's
Remember,
fine.
low on spirit points. If that drops to 0, that's another way you can light it. So she's touching the veil, and we'll see what that means for next week. A lot of things learned, a lot of new questions, I think, popping up. Yeah. Welcome to Ampistrano, y'all. We're diving right into it. Thank you all so much for hanging out today. Thank you for the raids too, and if you've stuck around, hope you will be back next week. The VOD will be up on YouTube on Thursday. But special reminder again, if you enter !Sephi or !Simon, we are signal boosting 2 incredible people that are trying to transition and move forward in the next step of their lives. We are going to go ahead and throw a raid over to ttrpg, who's raising money for NNA. I had it written down, NAF abortion funds. I believe, let me take a quick look. They are 45% of their goal. So they're almost halfway. I would love if we can go help them out. And even if you can't physically donate, signal boosting, retweeting the live tweets, all of that helps out immensely. Thank you all so much. Today was a bit of a change of episode, but I think we're starting to see some things hit. So let me go ahead and type in our raid call that we'll use. It's a call from her wild. It's a Haven raid over there. Thank you all so much. Please take care of yourselves. And we will see you next time beyond the veil. Bye, everybody.